Episode 49. 'Tis the season to have sex.
This is the One Extraordinary Marriage Podcast, home of the 7 Days of Sex Challenge, featuring your hosts, the authors of the groundbreaking new book, Stripped Down, Tony and Elisa DiLorenzo.
Welcome back to One Extraordinary Marriage, where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy. You're here with Elisa DiLorenzo.
And Tony DiLorenzo.
And first and foremost, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We hope that you had a wonderful and blessed Thanksgiving with friends and family.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're a little bit warmer than it was here in San Diego. We've gotten a cold snap. And yes, for all of those of you that are someplace colder, I am whining about the cold weather. I live in San Diego.
We live here for a reason.
Exactly. I don't like
warm weather
to have to be bundled and cold.
Nope.
You know, I like wearing my sweaters, but I want to do it on my terms, not because it's, 35 degrees.
And because of the cold weather, we have moved ourselves out of the studio, also known as the garage, and into our kitchen because it is just too darn frigid for us. And there was no way Elise and I were going to make it through a podcast without our teeth chattering if we were out there. So
yes, all of you in cold weather states, you can email us or call us and tell us that we're wimps and that we should be able to deal with it. We'd love to hear from you.
Sure thing.
Absolutely.
But we've lived in cold weather. We lived in Washington State. We lived in Spokane for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
The first winter was absolutely gorgeous and fun. It was new and exciting. And then the second winter, our oldest was born.
Back up. Our first winter started in October and went until May 15th.
Yeah, but it was still fun and sort of exciting. And yeah, it still sucked. Okay.
Hello, May.
Yes, this is true. But our oldest was born in December. The doctor said don't take him out for a month because he was small. He wasn't super small. He was like 6 pounds something. And at that point in time, I remember looking at Elise, and I think it was January, and I said, you know what? It's time to go back. And within 3 months, we were both moved back down to San Diego. We actually chose where we live here in San Diego on the suggestion of a buddy, the same buddy who told us that Spokane would be a great place to live, and have not moved or left and have no plans of leaving. So we love this place. We love the community we're in, the friendships, our church, the school system, and gosh, for me, the cycling buddies I have now, for Elisa, all of her girlfriends.
And yes, Tony did go cycling on Thanksgiving morning. That is actually a Thanksgiving tradition in our house.
And it was cold.
Yeah. I get up and make the turkey. He gets up and goes and burns off the calories so he can eat the turkey.
That's right. That's just one of those things
tradition.
We do. Yeah. I make sure to get out on Thanksgiving Day.
We actually had a pretty quiet Thanksgiving.
Very.
This year in terms of the number of people that we had. We opened up our home. Thanksgiving is our holiday in Tony's family. And, in years past, that's meant various cousins and
aunts and uncles.
We've
had numerous
I think
friends.
We've been up to, 18 to 20 in years past. And this year, everybody was somewhere else except for your parents and your grandmother. So it was just 7 of us this year.
And my grandmother's 88.
Yes.
So it was an interesting time just having her around.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a grandmother, if I'm not mistaken, I've told you guys about that, has since been put in a home.
She lives in a retirement
community.
Mm-hmm.
She has her own apartment. And so it's interesting to have her here and talking to her. For those of you who have seen Big Fish, and if you haven't, I would recommend seeing it. It is a fantastic movie. But Elisa made a really good comparison. The father, and this isn't a spoiler alert or anything, but the father really tends to embellish on the stories he tells. And I noticed my grandmother doing that a lot. At one point, she told me there's at least 4 guys in the community who want to marry her. God bless her. But
sorry, it was like one of the first things she said was just, there are 4 guys and they all want me to marry them, and I'm like, well, that's great. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, jump on it.
It's like, oh no, but
it might be true, just like in Big Fish.
Well, and that's what I told Tony. I said, it was really interesting having seen that movie on the recommendation of so many of you, that, you know, as I'm listening to her tell all of these stories and tell about what her life is like now in this apartment home that she's been in, a retirement home that she's been in for about 4 months now, since August. I'm hearing these stories and I'm wondering how much truth is there in this? You know, will we get to a point where we're at a funeral for her and these guys are going to come up and be like, she would never say, she would never say yes to marry me. I mean, it's conceivable that could happen. And,
Totally.
and so you start having these, having seen that movie, it kind of alters your perception of people's stories to say, you know what, there might be a lot of truth to this. And
Right.
I can't dismiss, even though it seems a little far-fetched to me, I can't dismiss her stories.
No.
And, so you take it with that grain of salt and you're like, wow,
It was still fun.
she's
It
living it up.
was fun having her. I mean, she sat here in the kitchen just washing dishes and she made herself useful and it was fun having her. So we also celebrated both our kids' birthdays because both of our kids, we have Thanksgiving and then our kids are between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So
we did not plan it that way.
That's just the way it happened.
It's just the way it happened,
Well, Andrew would have been
Andrew would have been a May baby.
Yeah, so our second child, who many of you know we lost at 18 weeks, he would have been a May baby. So, yeah, we didn't
So
plan
I tried.
it. Well, I tried too.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I was just having sex. You told me to have sex. I had sex.
We weren't really.
Well, we weren't planning it, were we?
We weren't planning. We never planned any of the kids.
So what's happened in your week?
Really, it's just, the kids have been home and, I spent 5 to 6 hours cooking on Thursday morning and really haven't done much cooking since then. It kind of tapped me out in terms of what I was up for. A lot of you know that I've been playing around with making alterations in my diet and had been going gluten-free up until Thanksgiving. And, didn't exactly stick to that on Thanksgiving and could totally feel and, I experienced a lot of symptoms, reactions, whatnot. So, still doing a lot of research on the gluten-free.
You picked up another couple of books.
I picked
at
up
the
another
library.
couple books. I'm such a reader and a researcher, when it comes to something like this and trying to figure it out. And, it's a journey.
Totally is.
I know that we've got one email here from Nina Nelson, who's been a longtime listener and fan of ours. She actually sent this email a few weeks ago. We just, with everything else that's been coming, haven't really had a chance to dig into it, but it ties very much into what's going on with my eating and, this for my week. But she had, we were talking, this was when I had said I didn't eat any of the Halloween candy. And she said, I also didn't eat any of this year, a miracle for me as I have a bad sugar addiction. I wanted to thank you for talking about your problems with sugar. I've battled a rash all my life that ranges from being concentrated on my chest and stomach to covering my neck to toe during pregnancies. I found out recently that it's most likely yeast, self-diagnosis after several wrong diagnoses. I can completely relate to that.
Yeah, you can.
With trial and error, I've discovered that refined sugars and other starches are the culprits, so I'm cutting out sugar now. Then I'll start working on cutting out the other stuff. Thankfully, Ian, her husband, has never had a problem with how my body looks when I have rash breakouts, but it makes me feel anything but sexy. I'm so glad to have a solution to a long-standing problem, and it's nice to know that someone else understands what I'm going through. Nina, I do, and you are so not alone out there. And it's hard. It's hard when food is at the root of your problems because, there are a lot of convenience foods out there that are touted to make our lives easier. And having 2 children and a husband, in a busy life, sometimes I fall culprit to, it's just easier just to pick something up. But what I'm learning is I don't have that option for myself. I've really got to, plan a little bit more. And it's like, even today we went out to eat with the kids and a fiasco there in terms of choices and restaurants being packed. But we ended up at a Mexican fast food restaurant here called El Pollo Loco. And, I actually had to make a conscious decision as I was standing there looking at their menu going, okay, I'm not going to get the flour tortillas that I prefer. And I need something that has more protein because that's one of the areas that I've identified that my diet has really been lacking in.
Well, we both have come to realize that, which has caused us, it not only I guess the reason we bring this up a lot right now is because what we're realizing in our own lives is that our wellness and our well-being has a direct correlation to our intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And many of you might be able to relate with this, because if you're feeling lethargic or tired, or you just don't have any energy for whatever reason it might be, just to get you through your day with work and kids and chores and this and that and the other, when it comes down to you time with you and your spouse, well, there's nothing left. And Elisa and I have been dealing with this. And so we're on this journey again. Elisa and I, this isn't the first time. This probably won't be the last time, but we're on this journey again, really trying to figure out, okay, what is it at the root is causing us to feel this way? For Elisa, she has come to find out that it most likely is the glutens. For myself, I'm not too sure. I'm going through a detox right now. And if you're interested in learning more about how that's going, you can check it out at fitmarriage.com. I'm 7 days into it, and I'm feeling awesome. I really am. I believe the toxins in my body were just overruling my body. And to tell you the truth, when it came down to having that moment at night with Elisa, to have sex, to be intimate physically with her, I was tired. And it didn't stop there. It would then mean I would have a lackluster night of sleep, wake up the next morning not feeling good, trying to work out, trying to do something, and it just wasn't all coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we're sort of down this journey right now, because we believe that there's got to be better.
Well, and yeah, based on a lot of the research that I'm doing, I have to believe, A, we're not alone, and B, a lot of people are going through what are symptoms with underlying causes that, they probably have sought out help. But a lot of doctors, because they are so busy, they're so overworked, and I'm not faulting them, they don't necessarily have the time to be able to dedicate to really getting to the underlying root cause. And, just like in Nina's email where she talks about, a lot of wrong diagnoses, doctors are overworked, and so
they are. And I have a good buddy of mine who is a doctor.
And so it becomes one of those things where you have to start doing research on your own. You have to say, you know what? There might be issues with what I'm putting into my body. There might be issues with my hormones being imbalanced. There might be issues with chemical imbalances, neurotransmitters and things like that. And so I just encourage you, if you're feeling this way, start seeking out help from a nutritionist. I am actually, it's on my list to do tomorrow, is to contact Sean Croxton of Underground Wellness and let him know that I am going to go forward with him. I talked about that a couple weeks ago, where, it's going to be a very detailed analysis of what's going on. Kind of, I don't want to say at the cellular, well, it could be at the cellular level. I don't want to misquote that, but at a very deep rooted level, as opposed to, oh, I've got a skin rash, let's put some cream on it type of thing. He's going to be looking at my hormone levels. He's going to be looking at blood work. He's going, a lot of the fundamental body systems to see how they're imbalanced or not imbalanced. And so this is a time of year when people get stressed. This is a time of year when you might not be eating well. We're right in that 30 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, when there are holiday parties, there are, snacks coming into the office because your vendors are bringing you treats.
Mm-hmm.
You're picking up a little of this, you're picking up a little of that, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, my pants don't fit, or I don't want to get naked in front of my spouse. So all of this food stuff ties right back into your intimacy.
Oh, it totally does.
We talk about food a lot because we know it plays in. So
I'm looking hot right now, though. I got the 6-pack. What's that look? Why did you do that?
Because they know you don't have an ego problem.
Just a little. I can have it. I'm stoked. Although it was sort of funny when my mom was asking me where my 6-pack was.
Yeah, so Tony,
Like my mom would even know what a 6-pack is.
Tony comes out after, wrapped in a towel after his shower on Thanksgiving Day. We're all sitting here, it's, before we've had Thanksgiving dinner. And, he's probably checking something on his phone. And his mom looks over and she goes, so do you have that 6-pack thing? Where are those 6?
Yeah.
Like
those
she
6.
was looking for numbers on his chest or something, like where's the 6? And so he pointed them out to his mom, all proud.
You know it.
Yeah.
Gotta show mom what's up.
We gotta show your mom what's up. Nice. So,
Yeah.
and today, this next couple of days is just kind of a big deal for us. This is right about now, 5 years ago. It's 8:30 at night on Sunday night, November 28th. I went into labor with our baby girl, Abby. And so we are celebrating her birthday tomorrow and just kind of doing a trip down memory lane today, told her about her birth and just, kind of honing in on the fact that our baby's 5. She's not a baby anymore.
They're growing up. And this week, we're talking about Abby, but this week Alex and I finished the Narnia Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it's just been such, he's going to be 8, and it's just been such a joy to be able to go through those with him. It's truly been an amazing week for he and I. I mean, we've just really bonded doing our football thing tonight. We were watching the Chargers beat on the Indianapolis Colts before he had to go to bed, and I just looked and saw that our Chargers are making that second half run and beat on
the
Colts.
Win?
Yeah, like 36-14. So Alex will be stoked tomorrow. And, it's been cool just getting to this point in our lives. And, man, for the last 3 days, they've been outside just running around, romping around with all their friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
cool. And just to brag on Alex, so, we've got Abby's birthday tomorrow, and we've got a couple traditions when it comes to birthdays. One is that the kids go out to breakfast just with their dad on their birthday. They get to do whatever they want, donuts or breakfast or wherever. And then we also have the birthday presents for the family that's waiting for them when they wake up. Well, I, in years past, have bought a couple presents so that Alex can choose what he wants to give his sister and vice versa. And so this morning he comes to me and he's like, Mom, I need the wrapping paper and I need scissors and I need tape.
Okay, Alex.
Great. What's going on? He's like, I'm going to wrap Abby's present. And I said, oh, do you want to pick? He goes, no, I got it. And so he's in his room and he won't let his sister in his room because, of course, it's top secret. And then all of a sudden I start hearing this, Mom, I need your help. And then she starts whining because she wants to be let in on the secret. And I go in and I've taken pictures of it. He's wrapped a book for her and he's wrapped silly bands, which are those rubber bands that are in different shapes. And they've been all the rage, but I think they're starting to fizzle out. And so he's made this very cute because he wrapped the book and then he put the silly bands. So it kind of looks like a birthday like a candle on top of the book. And
it's awesome.
He's got strips of wrapping paper and tape all over this thing. I mean, it's definitely a kid concoction. And he is so proud of himself.
As he should be.
And he drew a little picture for her. And then there was another little envelope on there. And he's like, Mom, you know what's in that envelope? And I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't know that. I thought it was just an envelope, I said, no, honey, what's in there? He goes, I gave Abby $1. And you don't know Alex. Alex is very tight with his money. Oh, Tony's laughing because it's actually an understatement. I mean, Alex gets his money and he wants to go, it's all his and he wants to go spend it almost as soon as he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day we let him go to 7-Eleven. He bought a treat for his sister. She'd given him money, but he bought the treat and just, Abby, keep your money. And so then for him to give her $1 for her birthday with this hand-wrapped gift, which is actually a book that he got years ago, and the silly bands, I am beside myself, amazed at the young man that he's becoming. When he's not driving me crazy and making me, pull my hair out, he's really this wonderful, loving kid. And I so appreciate those glimpses to balance out all the times when I'm just like, really?
You've done good.
No, it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, it does. You've done good.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, he is going to be a caring, generous man.
Mm-hmm. He is.
He might throw a tantrum now and then, but he's going to be a caring, generous man.
Yeah. On my front, last week I talked about sort of my dry spell I've been walking through with God. And, I want to say thank you to all of you who've been praying and sent some messages. Ron, thank you for your comments on the post, on the podcast there. That was awesome. And I got to pick up Rick Warren's book again. But, I just had some really good times this week talking to God and really sensed his presence on the bike again, which is where I really sense God a lot of the times. So it was really cool just being at church and worship and just this week we had Dr. Mark
Strauss
come speak. We just found out our senior pastor has cancer of the upper palate in his mouth.
It's a lymphoma of the mouth, but it's in his upper palate.
So please pray for our pastor. His name is Harry Keel. But anyway, it was one of those sermons where Mark was speaking on the Eucharist. And Dr. Mark is a theologian, a professor, and he teaches so well. I mean, he really dives into this. And I just had this sense while he was just talking of just Jesus being right there next to me and just going, I'm right here, buddy. I'm not leaving you. I'm not going anywhere. Just stick in here with me. And I really did feel it in that sermon and at that moment, God just there. And have since picked up my Bible again and just getting back into the Word. And I notice there are those times when I just get so consumed with everything else that I forget to pick up my Bible. And I think that's what I need to be doing, is getting into that Bible, to read His Word, to understand what is happening so I can then apply it to my life, to my family, to whatever's happening around me. So thank you guys. It's so appreciated.
Then two other quick things before we jump into tonight's topic. We had a very exciting email.
We did.
This week. We earlier in the week we got this email from a listener in Holland.
And this is our first email from the European continent. It is.
Yes. I had to think about that one. Yes, it is. It says, first of all, I am not good in English. I am Dutch. I always listen to your podcast. It helps me very much. I understand more English than I read. I hope you understand. I love your podcast. I wish they were in Dutch. Every time I listen, I cry. I pray for your marriage. God bless you. Thank you. I wish I was better in English. All I wanted to say is thank you. When I hear you speak, I cry. Thanks for your tips, with a lot of love. And I'm probably going to mispronounce your name, so I am sorry. But Yolanda Reichling,
which is just
from
awesome.
Holland.
We love you.
Yolanda, thank you so much for writing to us. Do not worry about your English.
We're just excited that you wrote us.
Make it through,
really
and love the fact that you found us there in Holland. And hopefully sounds like you're excited enough that you probably already are sharing us with your friends there. And we just appreciate hearing from you.
We do.
And you guys know these are the little things that, if we're having a bad week or if we're just trying to figure out what we're doing, you guys call in on the listener feedback line, the 858-876-5663, or you shoot us an email at Ask Elisa at One Extraordinary Marriage, or
Ask Tony at One Extraordinary Marriage.
These are the little notes of encouragement.
It's not just the notes of encouragement for us, but it's the notes of encouragement for the whole community.
Mm-hmm.
It's for all of you out there who listen weekly, that jump on, download this from iTunes and share. And that's what it's about. I mean, it really is just Elise and I behind some mics, but it's about you guys, and it's about changing your lives. And when you do email and when you do call in, know that you are having an impact on people's lives. You may not know it, but you do.
I mean, you guys that have been listening for any sense of or length of time know that we have listeners in Australia. We have listeners in South Africa, Canada. And so to hear that we have, a new listener in Holland,
That's
it's
rad.
just, you get that picture of the world in your mind, and you start putting, in addition to the hundreds and whatnot of little pins that would be on the United States, you start looking at those ones that are in other countries, and you start realizing how many people out there want to have extraordinary marriages.
Yeah.
And through word of mouth, through reviews on your blog sites, through sharing what's going on here, or, chiming in on Facebook, telling your friends about us, you're building this enormous community of folks that want to have extraordinary marriages. And that's showed even with the top 10 marriage blog list.
Which you guys can still vote for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you can vote. We sort of launched it a little early last week. But now if you want to, by all means, go to oneextraordinarymarriage.com and hit the blog. And you'll see it right there on the right-hand side, a big ol' logo for the top 10. Click it, vote for us, and we hope to be on that top 10 list.
Absolutely. So, that's another way that you guys just have a voice and
that's right.
Who's listening and what they're listening to. So there is that. And then we have a friendly little contest for this week. We were actually contacted by the promotions director for...
Now let's give this a little more little oomph here, because we want you to hear this, folks, because this is really cool. This isn't just some like cheesy little contest we got going on.
Are you saying it's cheesy when we give away our books?
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's not a cheesy little contest that you might find at your local store.
Okay, so if that's not enough of a drum roll and build up for you guys, I don't know what it is.
I don't have any like sound
no
bites.
Drum roll?
I don't have any sound bites in that stuff. I need to get those.
You need to get a drum roll.
Okay. Well, anyways, this is a cool contest.
This is a cool contest. So we were contacted by the promotions director for this show that is currently running in New York City. It's called Blind Date New York City. We're going to have a link to it on our website. They have 2 tickets for listeners to our podcast.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up. So you have to be able to go to the show. The show is running from December 2nd through the 20th. You would get 2 tickets. And what we need you to do is, after you've gone to see the show, we need you to either write a blog entry, so you can like send that to us in an email, or you can do a blog. You can, sit in front of a video camera and record it. And, we just want to get your feedback on the show. It is, it's an improv show. And basically there's this character called Mimi, and she chooses a male member of the audience, and it's their blind date. And the show's been running. She's Canadian, and when you go to the website, you can Google her. Her name's Rebecca Northen. It looks hysterical. And if there was any way that we could get to New York City in the next 3 weeks,
we would have made it.
We would have made it. I'm requesting that they come to the West Coast so that
we can get it.
So that we can see it. But if you're going to be in New York City in the next 3 weeks, you would like 2 tickets to the show, and you can send us a blog entry or a vlog entry, video entry after the show, then you need to call in by next Sunday, which is December 5th. Yes, December 5th.
Sounds right to me.
And call us at 858-876-5663 with your name, and just let us know that you can be there and that you're willing to do it, and we will choose one of those winners.
Do you want them to say something other than I can be there?
What do you want them to say?
I want them to say how One Extraordinary Marriage has impacted their marriage.
There you go.
So you need to call in and tell us how One Extraordinary Marriage has impacted your marriage in 3 minutes or less, because Google Voice will cut you off at 3 minutes. And if you know Tim will go longer, so that's why he'll get cut off at 3, and then he'll call back for another 1.5.
Oh, that's the thing with Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, you figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes.
Okay, so
and we love you, Tim. I'm just using you as an example there. So
3 minutes or less, how One Extraordinary Marriage has impacted your marriage, and
because you know what?
Oh, go ahead.
On the 30th of November was the first blog post we ever put out.
So that's this Tuesday. That's when this one's going to go out. This podcast is going to go up on the 30th.
Yeah. So
when you're listening to this, if you listen to it on Tuesday, Miss Carrie, we know that you're listening to this.
Yeah, it's the first blog post that we ever put out was on the 30th of November. So we're hitting some pretty cool places right now.
So call us at 858-876-5663 if you can make it, and call us. We'll have all the information on the website too.
Yeah, please go to the website to find all that.
So 'tis the season.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season
To do what?
to have sex.
Let's have it. Let's have more of it.
This is a crazy time of year. And I'm not just saying this because I have two children's birthdays between Thanksgiving and Christmas and the memorial of a third child. I'm saying this because Christmas decorations have been up for the last couple of weeks. People have, my local Costco, I had to park in the very last row today because there were easily 1,000 other people, at least.
I'm sure more.
At Costco. That was probably just 1,000 cars. People are in a hurry. I've already witnessed people getting rude at cashiers, at other people in the parking lots.
It's like a time of year when people just feel like they can be rude too. I don't get it. It's like Friday, Thursday night they ate their turkey, and then drives me
for
crazy.
Many people, because they woke up so early to go to the Black Friday sales, it's like their circadian rhythms are out of whack, and it just impacts the next 30 days.
Yeah.
But one of the areas that often gets neglected during this crazy busy time of year, is intimacy. It's your sex life, because you're wrapping presents and you've got to go get that one more gift for so-and-so, and you've got the Christmas party, and you've got, oh my gosh, there's only 2 more weeks until Christmas, and how are we going to pay the bills, and who's coming for Christmas dinner, and do I have enough food, and the kids are getting out of school next week. And there's the person that sits across the table from you at dinner, and he's like, hey, remember me? Remember me?
Or the gal.
Or the gal. I'm sitting across from you, so it's, but we forget that all that hustle and bustle on December 26th is over. It's over. It's all this build up for one day, which actually, with the kids opening presents is all about 30 minutes. And you've spent the last 30 days avoiding, neglecting your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were...
And the ramifications don't end in 30 days. That's the big thing that you need to realize now, is that what happens in the 30 days prior can affect your marriage for 30, 60, 90 days, if not longer after. So you got to realize what's happening. And if this has been happening in your marriage in the past, it might be time to start making changes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know for a fact that it gets a little much when everything's going on, and as a husband, I get squeezed out because of all the stuff that is going on. It's the time when Elise and I need to communicate with each other and realize that, okay, things need to get done. I understand that, but there are times and there are places where I need to be with you. I need to communicate with you. I need to sit with you. And I'm not saying that it doesn't mean you're not wrapping Christmas presents together or going to a specific service together that may be around, the birth of Christ or what that might be. But this is a time of year when you really got to take notice.
Right. Because
the kids usually start taking precedent even more so than they should during the year. And it's a funky time. So we want to sort of give you guys the leg up before it really gets going.
And this is the voice of experience. You guys know that we don't talk from a place that we haven't been. For me, this is a very challenging time of year because of the kids' birthdays. Because, like we told you, we've got one tomorrow and one in 2 weeks. And Andrew was born the day after Alex's birthday. So this is a time of year that I figured this out talking to a friend a while back who's also suffered miscarriages. I kind of work myself into a frenzy so that I don't have to think about Andrew's death.
Uh-huh.
And so it's one of those things where I get very busy. And I mean, my kids there have been times where their birthday celebrations have lasted almost 2 weeks in terms of multiple birthday parties with the family and with friends and their actual birthday. And
this year we're not.
This year we're not. It's very condensed
Mm-hmm.
this year, which is just a function of the way things worked out on the calendar. But also I think an awareness of myself that I can't keep up that pace. I can't be so busy trying to avoid the reality that Andrew died 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of you that this is a difficult time of year. I know, so we have Andrew's death on the 14th and my grandfather died on December 9th. And so, for my mom, this is an incredibly difficult time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Many of you have lost family members. And so you have different coping mechanisms. And what you have to do is you have to lean on your spouse.
And more important, you need to lean on Jesus.
You have to not create these external distractions that, I got to do, we've got to decorate the tree. Not that you don't have to decorate the tree, but when it becomes so outwardly focused that you're just doing stuff to be doing stuff, as opposed to saying, this is our family and we're going to, spend this time together, or I'm going to sit down on the couch and, we're going to watch A Christmas Carol. Mm-hmm. Together as a family. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to hold my husband's hand, or I'm going to wrap my arm around my wife and just say, you know what, honey, little squeeze. I love you.
Right.
You've got to be focused on your intimacy in a time of the year when intimacy is so far from so many people's minds.
It totally is. And another thing that gets brought into that is the financial issues. So if you come to this point in the year and you have no idea what you're spending for Christmas, I got to tell you, you got to make changes, because you're sabotaging yourself and your marriage. Because if you come up to December 1st, I should say, and have no idea what the budget is for Christmas presents, that is going to cause stress on you guys.
Absolutely.
And this happened years ago with Elisa and I, when it was this was before kids and a little bit after Alex was born, but we never really talked about how much we're going to spend on each other. So it ends up being I'm going to get this and I want to get that. And, it gets put on that credit card and on this credit card. And then the day comes and you're looking at each other going, holy crap, we just spent $1,000. And that doesn't do well and doesn't bode well for your financial intimacy, for your physical intimacy. So these are things you got to be thinking about. Now, for us, Elise and I give ourselves a budget. We know what we're going to spend on each other, and it's okay. Our love is not dependent on what I get Elisa on Christmas morning. And if it is, it's all off base. It's shallow, and there are many more problems.
Right.
Because if she values what she's getting on who I am, then it's not going to work out. Because I think we spend, roughly $100 on each other?
Yeah, give or take.
$100, I mean, pretty much is
150.
That's what we usually do, depending on where we are and what we've decided. And again, a lot of that sometimes for us is because I'm self-employed. My income goes up and down. Mm-hmm. So throughout the year, we're looking at and trying to determine. We have a very interesting budget compared to those who are on a fixed salary per se.
Right.
So you really got to start thinking about that, because if the finances are coming up, and this isn't just on you guys. I mean, think about if you haven't talked about what you're getting for the kids. And then all of a sudden, Dad goes out and spends $100. Mom goes out and spends $100 on the same kid, and all you were supposed to spend was $50. That's going to cause some heartache and some problems.
Well, I mean, it's to the point where our kids know. I mean,
our kids get 3 gifts, and we started this when Alex was.
It's probably 3 or 4.
We probably started it earlier than that.
I doubt it. Earlier, I remember we had 2 Christmases, his first Christmas and his second Christmas, where there were so many gifts for him between us and the family that he got bored and wandered off.
Oh, that's
And it was
right.
after that second Christmas where I'm like, mm-mm.
That's it. So what we give our kids now are 3 gifts each. That's what they get. And our basis for this is Jesus, our Savior, when he was born, got 3 gifts. Now, they were beautiful gifts, but every year we give our kids beautiful gifts. They get 3. And we don't go crazy. We don't go spending $500 a pop on a kid. You know, again, we budget it. We know what we're going to get them. Elisa is very frugal. She will search the deals out, and she'll get them for below what we budget. I love her for that tremendously, because she'll just keep searching and searching, and she'll find the best deals with shipping, with no tax, with everything. She's just good. So know that it will cause some major ramifications in your physical intimacy if you're not talking about the financial intimacy at this time.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's sort of a chicken and egg. We're coming right into this. And many of you who are dealing with this may want to just shut up and shut down and not bring it up at all.
Can't do it.
I think you need to speak up, because if you don't, you're going to go through another Christmas feeling the same way you've had year after year, and nothing is changing.
Right.
So again, you don't want to just blast your spouse out of the water. You know, we always talk about giving them their due diligence, giving them an understanding, letting them know what you want to talk about before just blasting them, because you listen to Tony and Elisa. They're gonna shut down. They're not gonna listen, and you're gonna have even a harder time. So again, you bring it up to them in a way that is not going to cause a defense mechanism to get turned on them, and let them know that you want to speak about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, most of you that listen on the first day that we post this, you will be listening on November 30th. That gives you 25 days until Christmas. Have the conversation sooner rather than later. Get on this, you know, we talked a couple weeks ago about getting on the same page. Do it with your finances so that you can maintain your intimacy during Christmas. Do not, either one of you, be hiding gifts from the other one in terms of what you've spent. Don't do it, because then you've got the guilt thing going on. I'm not saying don't have surprises. Just have surprises within the budget that you've talked about. And don't go over that budget. Don't say, oh, it's just a little bit. Because in the back of your head, you're going, oh, it's a little bit over what we said we were going to spend.
And how does that affect your physical intimacy? Can you fully be engaged when you're having sex with your spouse at that point in time during this time of year?
If you're keeping secrets because you've overspent, because you know that you've had to play around with the credit cards, you know, shifting balances or splitting purchases, or, you know, a little bit of cash, a little bit of credit card, you know, this and that, you're playing so many shell games that you're dropping into bed exhausted and you've got nothing to give your spouse. Instead of saying, okay, you know what, we said we were going to spend $50 per kid and we're going to spend $50 on each other. I'm going to get creative this year. And I'm going to figure out how to make this the best Christmas I can on $50 a person. You know, I was talking to one girlfriend, her family, so it's her mom, 2 sisters, and an aunt. They have, I want to say it's a $25 limit this year.
Nice.
And it's all has to be recycled gifts in terms of finding things at thrift stores, finding things, regifting, you know, cookbooks or things that they are no longer using. It cannot be a gift card. So they put that stipulation on there. It has to actually be a gift. And so it's really great, because the day that I saw her, you know, because you guys have heard me talk about it, I know all the days that the stuff at the local thrift stores, you know, what their 50% off days and all of those are. And so I saw her coming on one of those 50% off days. I'm like, oh my gosh, did you go by Salvation Army? She's like, just came from there, and I scored a dress and I scored a sweater. And, you know, she was just ecstatic because she had gotten creative.
That's cool.
Stayed within the budget that they'd set, and was so excited to be doing this for their Christmas with her mom and her sisters and aunt.
Cool.
And I was like, that's great, because if you take out the gift card option, which is an easy default, then it really does force you to sort of say, okay, I got to use a little brain power here.
Little brain power.
Little brain power, but you can get creative.
Right.
You can find websites that have great deals. You know, don't just go to the first store you see and buy something right off the rack. This time of year, you can find all kinds of deals on the internet. There are all kinds of rebate internet sites. Like I found this one called ebates.com, and we'll put a link up to it, where you get cash back for making the purchases you were already going to make, and you can take advantage of coupon codes and all. It's fantastic. Find the deals. Spend a little, invest a little in figuring out how to do this so that you can be excited about your gifts. Maintain the intimacy because you're living within your budget and you're focused on your spouse. Okay, really? You know, I told Tony, I'm like, I don't really need anything this year. I don't really want anything. You know, I've picked up a few things for myself at the thrift stores, which are very nice. And, you know, if I wrap those up and stick them under the tree, okay.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple ideas, though.
He always does.
I know. Well, yeah. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, and he even said at the beginning of the podcast, I don't measure his love for me by the gifts that I get.
On Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day.
Got to love your spouse all year long.
You know, I was having a bad day last week. Got some bad news, and he shot me this text saying, hey, just pick your head up. Don't let it bring you down, and don't take it out on the kids.
I was wondering if you got that text.
I did get that text.
Okay. You didn't respond, so I wasn't sure.
You know, but it was just enough to say, you know what, I'm thinking about you. And I know that that was not news that you were expecting. But you know what? It's not the end of the world.
Right.
Okay? That means more to me than, you know, if he'd put, you know, a present in a box. Part of it, too, is that gifts is not my love language.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate gifts.
Right.
But it's not the way to my heart.
Right.
And he knows that. And so.
But gifts don't have to be so extravagant that they bust the budget either. So.
Absolutely. I appreciate the creativity when it's not a budget buster.
Right. Yeah, because of your frugal self.
Yeah, I'm all about.
Let's talk a little bit about the cold weather fall sex life we're having, and others might be as well. As the colder months are upon us, I'm sure many of you are bundling up before you go to bed. And because of this, it's a little harder to find your way to having sex.
Because you're all bundled.
Because you're all bundled. So somebody in this house does that. And I don't think it's me.
I wear socks to bed.
Which I don't mind anymore because now I do. I guess I'm getting older because I don't want.
When we were younger, in our early married days, and I wore socks to bed the first time, I got that you're just like my mother. You cannot wear socks to bed. I don't care how cold you are not wearing socks to bed.
So anyway, though, this is a time, and I was talking with Elisa about this earlier. This is a time where when it comes to your physical intimacy and your sexual intimacy, you need to be well aware of how you are dressing still. The change it up. I was telling Elisa, it feels like we're going through one of these little, all right, we're doing the same thing, the same position, the same. Elisa jumps into bed. She turns down the lights. It's the same movements, the same everything. And as much as the sex is enjoyable and fun, it's everything that sometimes leads up to it is the same. And it gets old. So.
Can you tell we had sex last night and I didn't knock his socks off before we actually had sex? In case you were wondering, this is all coming off of a very recent encounter.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying it's one of those things I think as humans, and we're cold and we don't like to be cold. Some of you do. I don't. But it's one of those things that just drives us from not seeking out change and exploring other things during this time of year. And for us, it's something we're going to have to work on.
Right.
Making it a point to go, okay, we don't always have to wait till the last minute of the day, do the same routine, and then have sex. It's making it a point to change it up, which we discuss in our book. And if you'd like to purchase our book, please put in Blowout and you'll get the book for $10 plus shipping. And we talk a lot about changing it up, different places. And we go back to that chapter. We heed our own advice. A lot of times when we're talking to you because we need to hear it ourselves. Absolutely. And so if you're sort of sitting there and it's sort of going, man, we had such a great year and now it's just sort of being a little lackluster, find a way to do it. If it's your night to take the lead, bust out in that lingerie, or guys, go to bed naked. Don't wear the same darn things. Be different. Mm-hmm. And for us guys, we can do a lot. And it's not always our wives that have to dress up or do things to make it a very different occasion. We can go out, and I'm learning too. I'm trying to break out of my mold of the same thing that I'm wearing. So if you have any suggestions, guys, like what you might be wearing, throw them my way. Ask Tony at oneextraordinarymarriage.com. It will not be talked about on the air. I'm just interested. What are you doing? I mean, I'm thinking like...
What are you thinking?
Like a robe, like a silk robe or something would be sort of cool.
Are you going to bust out a cigar too? I mean, what is that?
No, I wouldn't.
Silk robe.
Would a silk robe turn you on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
You're giving me these weird eyes.
Oh, I'm trying to imagine you in a silk robe.
Maybe if it was like a silk robe with like a fireplace behind me, and like on a bearskin rug. But we don't have a fireplace. We don't have a bearskin rug, and I don't have a silk.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture this
robe.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
So,
You may have to go bust out the electric
fireplace. Okay.
Wonder if you can rent bearskin rugs. That would be sort of gross.
No, that would be gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. No.
You know what was cool though? Remember our 10th anniversary when we did make love right in front of that fireplace at the B&B? That was rad.
Yeah, so we stayed at the Knickerbocker Bed and Breakfast up in Big Bear.
That was sweet.
And we got the penthouse suite. So we had 800 square feet on the 3rd floor of this B&B.
Beautiful B&B.
Views on 3 sides.
Yep.
And, okay, I have to laugh. Tony's talking about this fire. Well, the first night he could not get the fire going or it went out or something. And so we froze.
Did we not have heat in there?
I think it was just the pellet stove.
Oh, yeah.
And so, fortunately there was enough down on the blankets, but we were cozy that night. And then I remember the second night because we'd had problems with you lighting fires in the past.
We have. I think I've learned.
Well, it was still.
Thank you.
One night was very cold. The next night was cozy. But we made love in the bed, not on the floor in front of the fire.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
Oh, you know what I remember over there though too? That huge bathtub.
Yeah, the bathtub.
That was a killer bathtub.
The bathtub was the size of a double bed.
Yeah, that thing was sick.
I mean, it was ridiculous how large the tub was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and their chocolate chip cookies.
They had wonderful food there too.
Yeah, the chef there was
okay. Well, we're like way diverting off to what we were talking about.
You brought it up.
I know.
Fireplace and bearskin rugs.
This week, financial intimacy, sexual intimacy. Let's get it on. I want to hear from you guys. We did it. Come on.
Is anybody out there having sex? Because nobody.
7 days in a row though.
Yeah, but nobody's called us on that. Have you noticed?
In a while, yeah. I haven't heard anybody going for it.
I know. Maybe you forgot our phone number.
858
876 5663.
Yeah. Or maybe everybody's just waiting for the second annual.
In February?
In February. If you are. This one's going to be a little different because we always tell people to try to change it up and go outside. So a lot of people in February, it might be cold.
You might have to pull out the bearskin rug in the fireplace.
Yep. Outside in the snow. I'd love to hear some stories about that. Okay. Well, heck, I'd love to hear about those stories now. You know?
No, I did not mean that they would do the bearskin rug in the fireplace outside.
Oh.
I meant that they would just change the scenery and be on the bearskin rug in front of the fireplace. Nothing with outside.
Yeah.
It's too cold.
For you, other people they may like it outside in the cold weather. It may thrill them. I don't know. I'm just saying it may be. I think it is possible that there are people out there who enjoy the cold and would be able to make love in the cold.
Okay. I'll buy that. It's not me, but I'll buy it.
Us, it's a problem, and that's why we're in this little rut, because you're so cold you can't get out of your sheets, your plushy sheets.
Tony's feeling a little deprived. You can't tell.
I'm not feeling deprived. I'm just telling it like it is.
Okay.
When was the last time we made love outside of our bed?
I do not remember.
There you go. It's been way too dang long.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I just want you to remember.
Yes.
There are 3 days a week that you can initiate sex.
I understand that. But I also know as it starts getting cold. Hold on, Elisa's coughing here. Working her up.
I'm good.
I also know that when it starts getting cold, I need to give you a lot of warning if we're going to do something different, because if not, you just start shuddering on me, and it's not a fun experience.
Okay. Well,
maybe what we need to do is just make sure we turn up the heat in the house.
Well, there's a creative idea.
Thank you. Let's make that happen. For all
We're
of you,
on your days, dude.
We are on my days, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys. It has been another fantastic week. And like always, we love you and have a fantastic and awesome week.
Thanks for listening to the One Extraordinary Marriage podcast. We would love to hear from you. You can go ahead and give us a call at area code 858-876-5663 or send us an email to info@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. The website is oneextraordinarymarriage.com, and while you're there, you can sign up for our Marriage Minute Monday newsletter, and you can also purchase Tony and Elisa's new book, Stripped Down. It's available now in print, audio, and ebook formats. Also, the One Extraordinary Marriage podcast has sponsorship opportunities available now. If your business is interested in sponsoring this podcast, please contact us at oneextraordinarymarriage.com.